The Candidates Tournament. 8 of the world's best chess players gather in Madrid, Spain to compete for the privilege to play for the World Chess Championship. For them, it's kill or be killed.
Hello everybody, welcome to another video of Reinaldo Chess Lesson. It's been a while, but we are here, ready to resume. For today, we are going to do an analysis of some highlights of the candidate tournaments. For that, I have selected a couple of games. Today in round number 4, there is a decisive game played between Jan Nepomniachtchi and Alireza Firouzja. Jan was playing with white pieces, so let's start directly with this. Nepo opened with e4 and Alireza played with c5. By the way, Alireza is a player popular to use the Caro-Kann, but he started with the Sicilian defense and selecting the knight or Sicilian. After knight f6, knight c3, a6. So in the next move, we are going to see a lot of theory. So f3, knight b3, bishop e6, bishop d3. This is known as the Yugoslav attack formation. This formation is used against the dragon Sicilian, literally creating this pawn structure and later looking for g4, g5. We will see that in the game. So bishop d7, queen d2, castle, castle, knight b d7, and this is the critical position that I wanted to reach in order to explain the main topic of this resume, and is right now a classical opposite castle position. But we can notice that any player have weaknesses in his pawn structure. So this is a moment where both players are going to start a pawn storm, but not in order to get any pawn break. The idea of g4 and b5 is that with g5 and b4, both players are trying to kick the knights in order to create coordination in the enemy pieces. By the way, b4 is a very active move, considering that in this moment black have other alternatives like knight h5 without expand the queens. But Alireza, so far have been playing with black, trying to create imbalance, and he's creating this super sharp position. So the capture on f6 is an option, but Nepo removed the knight to e2, and after knight e8, he did f4, taking the initiative, getting a pawn break, and looking for the advance f5 and maybe f6. So Alireza continued with the pawn storm on the edge of the board. In this case, he's looking for a4 to win a tempo over the knight and advance the pawn, maybe getting, the pawn on b3, taking, 2 possible pawn breaks. So after f5, bishop c4. So in this position, the main move for black is a4 with a very critical position. If we look in the database right now, there is almost 2,000 games with a4. Alireza decided to play bishop c4, and there is only like 26 games in the master database. But about the line, with a4, this move have the benefit that, well, in some situations the knight may be in the corner, but it's not too intuitive the fact of allow the capture of the bishop. So Alireza played bishop c4, king b1, and here with king b1, white is enabling the c1 square in order to protect the queen side. Now, if black plays a4, this square will be available. There is a quote that says, knight on f8, no checkmate. The same happened for the knight on f1, no checkmate. That makes reference to the king side. But here, a knight on c1, it will be like the knight on f8 or the knight on c8 in a queenside castle, So the knight here can protect the queenside castle very well. But don't forget that in order to have that option available, we need to move the king to b1 previously. So a4, knight c1, and now d5. Okay, about this move, black is getting rid of the backward pawn, hoping to open the position by enabling some squares, for the pieces. So Nepo played f6. That was a very powerful move that demonstrates the spirit of the position. In opposite castle situations, we should not be too concerned about material evaluations. And the main idea of f6 is, apart from taking the initiative, is just create open lines, towards the enemy king. So Alireza must accept the challenge, winning the pawn. And now Nepo did here a knight g3, reinforcing on e4 and probably looking for some outputs on f5. In this moment, Alireza decided to take on f1. The main reason of this is because, the pawn on d5 have to be defended the bishop, limiting some possible options. So by trading the pieces, Black can liberate the mobility of his center. So he decided to capture, and now he did here a3. The position must be closed by white, and now b3. So Black got a pawn break, but white is keeping the position closed. Sometimes with this type of a structure, a possible idea maybe try to bring pieces on the data square and do a checkmate here, but will not be too easy. So the position will remain closed. I guess that the hope for Black, it can be tried to make use of the weaknesses on the data square, but is Black will need some time to do that. So also here, white have a very direct threat. For example, bishop a6 and followed by queen g5. And because of that, Black played key to the corner. So pawn takes d5. This is an extra pawn. And here, there is the critical moment of the game. And we are going to see how those players may make blunders, in the game by following some kind of regular rules or positional patterns. In this moment of the game, Alireza did what, according to the stockfish, is the losing move of the game. He did knight e6. Normally, the knight is the best blocker of a passer. And in other hand, the knight in front of the most advanced pawn of the opponent used to be extremely well placed. But the engine report this move as a blunder because remember that at the end of the day, the game is very concrete. With this move, this pawn is hanging. And okay, we already said before, material considerations are not important, but the trouble of the capture of the pawn is not only the fact that white is winning a pawn, it's also the big mobility that the queen will get, from b4, and also the fact that Black don't have any good discovering attack to take advantage of the bishop in this diagonal. So here, by the way, we are in move 23, and until this point of the game, both players spend some considerable time on the clock. So Nepo took the pawn, and now here Alireza did rook c8, another move that the engine disliked, but right now the position is already quite difficult. By the way, about the knight on d6, a possible idea maybe try to bring the knight to c3, but there is no time, to get that location. And by removing the pawn, the knight will not be stable, and this idea is not available anymore. Maybe here Alireza did rook c8, hoping to keep some possibility to create an intersection point there, but now this square is not available because the queen is controlling b5. So after rook c8, now Nepo did a very accurate move. Bishop b6. The idea of the move is open the e file in order to attack the pawn there. Queen d7, queen e1. Beautiful move, targeting the central pawn on e5. And after rook b8, bishop a5, knight c4. This is the typical move to try to create a little bit of chaos. But bishop, okay, d6. Yeah, I thought that white played bishop c3, but bishop c3 is incoming in the next move. Yeah, about d6. A passer must be pushed. In this case, it's more about open the file to keep some pressure in the center. And now bishop c3. This king is in a very risky location, and there is good pressure on e5. So Black defends e5. White increase the pressure. Knight d5, attacking the bishop on c3. By the way, it is possible to take here, but Nepo found a very fancy move. Knight f4, taking advantage of the pin along the big diagonal. Takes f6 to try to counteract the pressure along the big diagonal. Queen e2, preparing double rooks, also attacking the knight. Notice that the knight cannot be captured because the b pawn is pinned. Okay, so queen e2, knight b2. By the way, there is a quote that says, "Who have a fianchetto knight always lose the game." In this case, Black didn't create any fianchetto for his knight, but the knight got this spot in White's territory, and really, well, the idea, I guess, that it was attack the rook and also play some practical move because Alireza was under time pressure at this moment. But this move only encouraged White to complete the coordination of the pieces after the connection of the rooks. Rooks connected, more pressure here. Notice that the pawn is still pinned. Yeah, by the way, the advantage for White right now is +8, okay, because all the pieces are on the king side ready to attack. So rook e8, rook to h4, and after f5, that this was a very quick move played, hoping to attack the rook. Here, Nepo found these tactics in order to break Black defense, queen h5, and knight takes. By the way, in the moment to attack, for example, if we look at this position, in a first glance, may look unclear, but sometimes it's about mathematics. If you are attacking with 1, 2, 3, and potentially 4 pieces versus only 2 defenders, well, maybe the bishop as well, but White attackers are more, and the king is too exposed. There is no pawns in front to protect the king, and the computer announced checkmate in 6 move. The game finished in this way: bishop f6, rook e1 check, and in this moment, this is move 39. Alireza could not get the time control, move 40, because he decided to reside at this point, and really the checkmate is now unavoidable. For example, after king f8, queen a6, king f7, rook g7, bishop takes and queen takes, and we will have the tailmate. It can be in this way: this check, this check, takes, takes, and this is the quite popular tailmate. The knight create intersection point for the queen on g7. So about the game, opposite castle position used to be very sharp, and we should not be afraid of give away some material in order to create open lines. Really, the G file was quite powerful for White. Black did a very specific mistake by leaving the pawn hanging on b4. That pawn apparently was important, in order to preserve some possibilities to create outputs on c3 and to keep some dark square control on the queens. So this was the decisive game of today. In other news, there is another highlight to comment that it was a game played in round number 1. This was a game played between Fabiano Caruana and Hikaru Nakamura. Remember, Caruana is all the time one of the favorites. This game is quite instructive because, at some point of the game, all the decisions, the winning decisions, were done because of good positional understanding by Fabi. Let's go through the opening very quick. We got Rui Lopez, Berlin defense by Hikaru, and D3. This is known as the anti-Berlin. Okay, bishop c5, takes. And after the trade of pawns, we can see that the game is going to be very slow. White is going to play looking for demonstrate his superiority because of the better pawn structure, but Black have the bishop pair. So, okay, castle, bishop d6 to protect the pawn. Notice that, for example, the pawn is hanging, but there is some troubles with f2 and queen d4. So after castle, now the pawn potentially can be captured, and Black decided to defend. So knight b3 to try to put pressure in the base of the pawn chain. Queen e7, knight a5, and now rook b8. In this position, I guess that this pawn can be defended by long castle, but probably, Hikaru wanted to stay flexible without decide where to go with the king. Rook b8, bishop g5. This is known as premature pin. We should not pin the knight if the king is not castled yet. And if this happens, it's quite advisable. Just do the expansion to break the pin. And that is exactly what Hikaru did. Right now, As the white king is castled, black potentially can use those pawns to to do a pawn storm. In this case, not in order to get any pawn break, but it will be, the idea will be try to trade pieces. But there is another trouble that now the e5 pawn may be hanging, so he decided to defend d4. Yeah, and finally we are reaching, one of the most important moments of the game. Here, black have the bishop pair, okay? Because of that, we may expect that black would like to open the position, but white is doing that war for black, and there is a reason for it, because if those pawns disappear, white will have 4 versus 3 on the king side, what will be a real pawn majority. That is, this will not happen on the queen side for black, because this will be 3 versus 3. The main trouble with this is that it's not too clear if eventually white will be able to mobilize his kingside majority, because his king is there. The mobilization of the kingside majority may end in the exposition of his king. But in any case, this move is very interesting, and also open the center when the enemy king is in the middle and our king is castled is another, thematic rule. So f6, queen d3. The idea of queen d3 is try knight c4. So h5, hoping to trap the pieces, and now we have this sequence of trades on e5. By the way, normally it's better to take with the less valuable pieces, but I guess that Fabi here anticipate that after bishop takes and takes, the character of the position is more close and open, and because of that, knights can be as good as bishops. Knight c4, rook d8, takes, and now queen e3. Okay, attacking on g5 and attacking on a7. So g4 to win a tempo, knight d2 and a6 to protect the pawn. And here Fabi did b3, Lie square strategy, because we are playing versus the Lie square bishop. And in this moment of the game, after a boy castle during 21 move, finally Hikaru decided to castle towards the king side. This is a move that the engine marks as a dubious move. Really, there is nothing wrong with the move, but maybe it can be a little bit inconsistent, because so far black have been playing trying to attack on the king side. So a move that I was considering that was not included, by in the top 5 engine suggestions in this point, it could be king d7. I found this move interesting, because in this way black can connect the rooks and potentially, preserve some ideas of continue with the pawn storm. If the queen takes the invasion square, this pawn can be defended with king c8 easily. So that will be probably more in the spirit of the position, but okay, he decided to castle. So now f3, queen g7, takes, rook to the open file, and here Hikaru did d5. This is a backward pawn, so the advance of the pawn, get a central pawn break, also control the knight, takes, rook e1, forcing e4. So now we can see that all those pawns are in the same color of the bishop. So potentially, if the structure remains in the same way, the bishop can be blocked, and the character of the position may be closed, and the knight can be better. So it's because of that Fabi started to simplify here, and now he did c4. If black captured on c4, e4 is going to fall, hitting the bishop and still hitting the pawn. So black cannot capture there. Rook e8, pawn takes, and now a very nice maneuver, knight f1. By the way, this maneuver is looking for the e3 square for the knight. This maneuver resembled the knight d6 that Ali Reza did in the previous game versus Nepo, but unfortunately for him it was a blunder, because he left a pawn hanging. I guess that Ali, as I say before, he was not too concerned about that, because it was a pawn in an opposite castle position, but the trouble of lose that pawn, it was that he lost the possibility to get the c3 square. But okay, let's go back to the game. I just wanted to do the comparison, of the maneuver. So queen e5, queen a6, and now queen g7. And from here, we are going to see, the technique of Fabi. The black king is very exposed. Well, we are, a lot of pieces left the board, but we may say that we are still in the middle game because the queens are still on the board. So as the black king is very exposed, it's very important for white preserve the queens on the board. And that is what Fabi did from here until the end of the game. Queen d6, very good move. Now knight e3, finally the knight get the wish of the square. And now, okay, a move played by Hikaru g3. This is a mistake according to the engine, but in my opinion, the move is quite interesting in the point of view that by pushing the pawn, black gives to white the possibility to capture with the queen. But Fabi understood that he should kick the queens on the board because the king was weaker, and he took with the pawn. After queen e5, do you want to trade queens? No, thank you. Queen g7, no trade of queens. Queen e5, and queen a6. Okay, so finally, Hikaru took the pawn on g3, rook to the open file, the knight is defended. So queen g7, opening the trade again, queen h4. The most important of this game, it was how Fabi was refusing the trade of queens all the time in order to keep attacking chance open on the king side, because white have 3 pieces versus 2 because the bishop is completely blocked and out of the game. So queen a7. Okay, the computer says the move is a blunder, but the idea is logical. He's hoping to trade queens. Fabi refused the trade of queens. We can see this matter of blunder, but those moves were in the top 5 engine suggestions. So queen d7, queen h4, bishop d7, and now rook d1, hitting the bishop and also looking for use some of the invasion squares probably. Okay, bishop d6, knight d5. Looking for the intersection point, and also if black capture, white can recapture and later transfer the rook to attack the king. So rook f8, queen takes e4, winning a pawn. Yeah, and now white have an extra pawn. So queen a6, rook e1, attacking the bishop, and rook d8. I guess that, yeah, he didn't want to trade because after the capture would check, the pawn on b7 is going to fall. Rook d8, check, king f7, knight f5, attacking the queen, and rook f1. Here we have a sort of a skewer. Okay, white is ready to do a very powerful discovery attack. Check, another check, and in this moment, Hikaru decided to resign because after queen g6, there is a sequence with knight f5 check, knight h4 check, for example. Queen g6, check. Let's say if the king comes here, this is a fork. And if the king comes here, this is a very nice move. Backward move with a discovery attack and attacking the queen. It's because of that after the check on g4, Hikaru decided to resign. And the trouble it was that white was attacking on the king side with 3 pieces. And meanwhile, black was defending, only with the queen. So the winning idea of this game, it was refuse the trade of queens because the enemy king was more exposed. For sure, if we say only that phrase, it seems to be quite simple. But remember, we should do, it's not enough only with positional understanding. We need to calculate and see a lot of moves to justify each decision. So, well, in my opinion, so far until round number 4, those were the most interesting games of the tournament. Well, let's keep following the results, hoping that win the best. That so far is Jan Nepomniachtchi so far, but there is still a lot of rounds to play. So let's see. Well, guys, thank you so much for seeing the video. Hope to see you soon with new resumes of the candidate tournaments. Bye. Take care.